this computer.
Well,
Cool. All
ah,
right,
so
so
we
I'm
got
going to start this off for you. So right now we're just going to talk about a little bit about kind of our first client and some of the work that's gone into it. Specifically, I'd like to hear about your process in finding an internship and give me a little background about the client's interest and then tell us like what you did to navigate that.
yeah, so I'll kind of be informal only because like I've known the person for a little bit. So obviously we had our client and he has an interest in auto detailing, which is great. Hey, if you want to do that by all means, like it's a money making process for sure. But I think we wanted to just make sure like that's actually something that he wants to do in his career. And one thing we noticed was that he had never actually done it before, as far as like trying it out. I think you and me have been on that same wavelength where like we want students to try these things. Like before like you commit, we want you to try it, see if you like it, and kind of go from there. The nice thing that he's a junior, which I think gives us more time, which is great. I think but that's what we want. In the perfect world, we start junior year and we can kind of do that exploring. So him with that interest. I connected with someone who owns a auto detailing company. They do detailing, they do waxing, they do some mechanic work too over in Nashua. The nice thing is that he's actually connected with Hudson also, and he was all aboard. He was like, "Yeah, I would love to like have him shadow, have him intern, and also with my role at Pinkerton, being in CTE." I'm gonna have him come over and talk to the person who works at our school, have him talk to that pack meeting because a passion of his is just connecting more students for those internships, and he wants to connect more people. So, um, my whole thing is, as far as at college, I always say the best thing you can come out of there with is your network. And
Mhm.
although I didn't go to college with him, just the network is just so important. So having someone in my phone who I can just call and reach out to, great, fantastic.
That's awesome. And another huge thing that I'm hearing is just the desire to help and be
Yeah,
engaged with the future, which I find is very common with people in all sorts of career paths, but specifically hands-on career paths, because sometimes it's an unorthodox path that people take, and they can kind of have empathy for people in the similar boat, and they
yeah.
want to kind of help them. Similar to for us, like how we got into the school counseling and education field was wanting to help people that were like us, didn't have support.
Yeah, and I think that's like shown me a lot. Like even this past week, I've just been talking to students that can just the guidance is needed, man. It's so needed, and it's again, it's So I put some posts up on Facebook like a week or so ago, and someone was like, "Oh my gosh, like I wish you were in the school. Like our school counselor didn't help." I'm like, "No, man. Like we're not blaming counselors here. That's not what we're gonna do. The time thing, the day of a counselor is long and difficult, and it can pull you so many crazy ways." And again, it'll never be a blame for a counselor. It'll never be blame for students or parents. It's just how the system is set up. We don't have the time to give one-on-one guidance for every student. And that's kind of why we're here, where we're doing that. Like you don't often get to sit down with a student for an hour and just like pour into them, they pour into you, and you just do that whole exploring. The system isn't meant, it's not made that way.
Yep. And it's not just a public school thing. Honestly, I've had experience in private schools where it's the same thing there. So this isn't just like pointing at like the system of public education or the systems of certain regions. It's truly a educational struggle. There's a crunch right now in education where people are they're trying to kind of consolidate and save, which is understandable to the climate, but it has a outcome that is very significant. And we're seeing it as not being able to give the quality time that can really help nourish that understanding of the future interests.
Yeah, man. I think the thing I'll always say is time and intention. And I think like we spent like an hour with that student and it was great. Just like obviously he was nervous to start, but just having that conversation, um, I'm excited to see what comes out of it. I'm excited to obviously as we start now, I'm excited to see where he grows as we work with him. Like what ideas he has because like I told him, even though that's what his idea is now, who knows what it might be in the future. Maybe he ends up wanting to do more music. Maybe he has a class that just kind of enlightens him and he's like, you know what, I want to do that instead. So that's what I'm excited for. Like that's really what excites me about working with students, just like seeing them grow and change. And even today, actually, I had a conversation with someone who I met at a meeting who was just she just graduated and she was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I'm like, you're 22. You have I know it might not feel like it, but you've got some time. And that's why I like doing this in high school now, and just having that time with them and having them grow to see what kind of career you're going to do and what are you going to find. And I think that's why these internships and just these conversations and job shadows are so important.
It really is. And it's understandable why a lot of families can get stressed out about it because it does in the moment seem overwhelming.
Yeah,
It's just without having a set goal at the end, like a tangible, like, I want to do this. Like, I want to be a police officer, a firefighter. I want to be a doctor. Like, with just having that open-endedness that the 21st century is creating, it can be overwhelming. But for us, we've been able to see how, like, that's kind of necessary to confront that, step into that discomfort and, learn,
yeah,
make mistakes, grow through discomfort, and just kind of explore your opportunities.
for sure.
And I agree, dude. It's really nice. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing where this goes.
Exactly. So I kind of want to back up a little bit. So we both had our first week this week. Oh, it's fun. I I like I know something about myself. I'm not good with just like free time. Like I need the structure. I need like, yo, we doing this Monday, Tuesday. I'm not good with just like, all right, we're waking up in summertime. We're just gonna be out. Like I joke. I really just need like a week or two to be off. Then I'm back to it. Like I was like ready to come back mid-July. I know not everyone might feel the same. I know students are like, nah, I'm good. So love to know how your week was. How did it go? Also want to know how's it going with the cell phones? No phone. I can tell you how it's going with us. The feedback has been interesting. So I'd love to know one, how your week went and how's it going with no cell phone life.
I love it because I got a tab open right now about the New Hampshire cell phone policy. I wanted to bring that up, and I have a citation that I wanted to bring up too, and a helpful text that I read a year or 2 years ago. A student recommended that was really insightful and kind of foreshadowed this.
Mm.
So, getting into my first week. Ooh, boy. As you might recall, as a school counselor, it is you once told me when we started, you're like, yeah, dude, just get through fall. And once you get through like that early fall schedule stuff, dude, then you just got to get through the college stuff. And, once you get through that though, dude, you got to get through the exams. But then after that, you have to do schedules again. Then from there, dude, once you hit like May, dude, it's all good. It's like, that's the whole thing. What, what are you talking about?
But I feel like there's like seasons though, like there's like a fall rush, then it's like calm, then like another rush. But it's like I always think back it was like a season of like busyness. But then when
Yeah.
it's chill, it's chill.
Exactly. It's definitely like an ocean where you don't know when the waves are coming and they just come and they hit you and you just have to deal with it. And then you're like, oh wait, I'm on a beach. This is pretty, oh my God, a wave. And it's just like nonstop. Um, so I've been putting a lot of energy into schedules right now. That is a very important thing. It connects kind of to what we're working on too, which is like a meaningful schedule. And it's tough because it's two sides. There's one aspect of scheduling that is state requirements. Department of Education, the state of New Hampshire requires certain courses to be complete throughout the 4 years of high school. But then there's also the greater uh, purpose to those courses, which is your future plans, the
Yeah,
individual student's growth and making something out of those. And creating the schedule gives us like kind of that compass to help guide these kids, but it takes time and schedules within like a big school, there's a lot of options, but you can't get everything. And
yeah,
that's where it's like a really hard thing for students and families to recognize that there has to be some sacrifices. And it's not something that like just an email can solve. It usually takes a phone call or an in-person. It's best in person because I'll turn my computer around and be like, this is what I'm looking at.
I
These
hate
are
the
the
emails.
courses.
I hate the emails. Hate them.
Yeah, dude, it's never ending. It's like it's Sisyphus rolling a rock up a hill and then it falls back down every time.
And honestly, it's not even like that the emails are bad. It's just
No.
things are moving around so much that like when an email comes in at 1, maybe that class is open, but by 1:15, maybe it's closed. Like there's so much movement around. I actually kind of enjoyed it, honestly. Like I almost found it like Tetris. I just liked diving in, but then you would be, but I don't know about you, but I would sometimes No, I think more so like doing the college stuff, I would forget until I do it a few times. It's almost like getting in a rhythm. Then once you have it, you almost like know, all right, that class is open, that class is not. You almost like doing it in your head. But that initial week, I can only imagine. Like even today, I went to go to the school counseling office, lines out the door.
Oh yeah, dude. It's bonkers. Bonkers. I and like just a bit in, a bit inside, inside the clubhouse talk, but
Mhm.
I found out these new features on Aspen where you're
Yeah.
able to like it's called the conflicts.
Hmm.
So you add all the things into requests on the bottom of the schedule. I'm like super this has like changed the game for me.
Jeez.
So a kid asks for a course instead of looking up in the master where it is, okay, does it fit in? What you do is you add it to the requests on the bottom. And then you go into conflicts under academics. And then on that, it creates a matrix of where it has all the courses that are in the requests,
Mhm.
and it has all the periods in the day, and it shows you all the options where they're available, if they're open or closed, and then it highlights the one they're currently enrolled in. So
Mhm.
it's like, oh, they got an English, like say they're in like the 11th grade college prep English, and they're trying to get into a sociology class, right? All right, let's look at this. Well, oh, look at so it's during the English class, but I can also see there's an opening A period, and A period's got nothing. I can flip flop this. Yeah, you just see all the graph stuff popping up. And you just, yeah, dude, it's like, oh my
It,
God. But
it's
dude, it's been unbelievable in helping me just be like, see, like not missing something, because it's so easy to just be like, oh, I looked, I didn't see it, but like, oh, go to the next page or like just check this one thing, click this box off and you'll see it's available or like what can happen. And that's been a game changer for me, but it is a lot, dude. The one thing though, because we started on Tuesday, so I've been in a bunch already for like a week and a half or so, just getting things cleaned up.
Mhm.
And it's miserable because like the juxtapositioning of doing schedules and being a school counselor, like it's they overlap, but like it's completely different roles. Like
Yeah.
it's completely logic driven to kind of go through and kind of figuring out the logistics between how these schedules align. And it's all just independent. But then when you're interacting with people, it's a whole new set of skills that you utilize and interpret and read. So it's just like this weird yin and yang of like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff. And then wait, turn all that side of me off and now turn this whole other side on and just be present, listen, engage.
Yes, because I think this part of the season, like you almost get transactional. And
Hmm.
you stop having going again. We're in this field because we like to talk to people and we like to like have deep conversations, but you start just like doing stuff on the computer, and it becomes almost like transactional. So even when a student wants to have a conversation, you're not even doing it because you're just so focused on getting this done. And like you said, you almost have to like shift back and forth, thinking, wait a minute, oh no, hold on, like actually, like what's really going on? You almost
Hmm.
just like doing it repeatedly that you forget everything. Um, and so it's hard to kind of go back and forth from just like being just schedule only to just having those like real and meaningful talks.
Yeah. And another huge thing is schedule conflicts like or scheduling concerns. You would think it's just like, oh, I really want this class, but like I've noticed this past week or the past few days even, it's just like a kid will come in and they'll get be very angry about something, saying, no, I'm not going to do this. And you're just like, okay. And like it almost like I find myself like in that logical mind of just like, I beg your pardon. Like, what are you doing? You can't like, why are you talking to me like this? I'm doing it. I'm just like hearing that. And then it's just like a switch clicks. I'm like, wait, this isn't about the schedule.
Yeah.
Let's talk. And I kind of close the computer and I look, I'm like, what's going on? I don't think this has to do with, art. I don't think this has to do with your English teacher. What's going on? And then like you get emotions coming out and you're like, oh, okay, now we're turning off that academic focus. We're going to the social emotional focus. And it's just fascinating how you can kind of like everything's interdependent and connected to each other.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's like the best part. You
yeah.
know, like that's like where like it's like okay, like this is what I'm really here for. And obviously like everything's important, like all aspects of it. But I think that's what makes like the school council role so interesting because you have to wear so many hats and you can be doing that in one day. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, where when that person was trying to criticize the council. It's like, no, like that role, you're doing so many things at once. You could be eight different people on one day and in 1 hour. Um,
100%, dude.
and for me, I think that's why I enjoy it just because I like the variety. But especially right now, like you said, you go from just doing schedules to now you're having a whole conversation about things that maybe went on summertime or maybe to start the school year.
Yeah. Or you get an angry parent and then
Mhm.
like they start saying like, no, they can't have this or this. And they keep on talking like, and well, over the summer this happened and then this happened. It's like, well, that has nothing to do with what you just asked.
Yeah,
But that sounds far more important than the concern you have. I
yeah,
think that's what we should be focusing on.
yeah,
So then you get to meet with the kid and you just start saying like, so how'd the summer go? Okay, now we're talking about substance.
yeah,
Now we're able to see how we can actually create a schedule for the full year that's successful for you and provide support for these struggles that you're having.
yeah, exactly.
It's wild, dude. It's
Yeah,
wild. Like you said, I think school counseling is one of the most beautiful jobs if it's ever allowed to be what it's supposed to be.
yeah, for sure.
It's very hard to allow it to be the role as like the American School Counseling Association kind of outlines it as because of, like I said, that crunching down and the struggles within education, both private, public, charter, you name it. There's always going to be this business component that really makes it hard to allow for a role like a school counselor to be a standalone and focus on those three core things and be there solely for the students.
Yeah, it's tough, but we keep on doing it, or at least you guys do.
Yeah.
I still miss it.
Yeah. And now, jumping into the big thing in the state of New Hampshire,
Ah.
okay? This is huge, okay? So I'm just gonna look up, I just Googled it. People listening can look it up. It's on Department of Education cell phone policy. I'm just going to read kind of what the Google search assistant gives you. And it says New Hampshire has implemented a bell-to-bell cell phone ban in public schools,
Damn.
prohibiting the use of personal communication devices during the school day, including lunch. Exceptions are made for students who require phones for medical or educational reasons. What the you He's sending some applause up on the screen. Yeah, so this is
Ah,
pretty big. Um, I just really quick.
yep.
So this bell to bell, I know my district did something. You're clapping. It's just keep on going,
Dude,
man.
it just doesn't stop. I don't know how to remove it now.
We're gonna talk about serious stuff now. You're like, um, so this bell to bell thing, our school, we had like kind of a bell to bell
Oh, really?
policy. Yeah, before last year we did it, and I was really impressed with it. Now I'm speaking as just a role of a school counselor who I do not have kids of my own. So I must say, like, I do not know that parental feeling of in the 21st century when you have the ability to have communication and then having it taken away. I don't know what that's like. So just speaking from my role as like an independent educator without children, I was impressed. Our bell to bell was more of a bell to bell for the class period.
Mhm.
So bell rings, class starts, no phone. Bell rings, transition, all good.
Yeah,
Bell rings, class starts, no phones for accredited classes. Anything you got a credit in or like anything that gave some type of credit is what was kind of a course. So that meant lunch, you were fine. Studies that were not credited, you were fine. And that kind of was okay.
yeah,
Um, some bite back for some kids. Obviously, that last part, students required for medical or educational reasons, that's a big one for IEPs. And it's very gray, because I mean, in theory, I can have, say, some profound ADHD that if having headphones on and listening to, whatever friggin' music, I'm listening to Kendrick Lamar and that's what
mhm,
chills me out. Like, I then could have my headphones on. So I'm curious how schools are going to handle those type of situations. But
yeah,
um, it worked pretty well. I feel like cell phones do create a lot of struggle in high school. That being said, it's easier to like kind of just hold back than it is to take away. And since the door was already open to allowing cell phones in school, this is going to be a 3 to 4 year impact, a
yeah,
ripple. And it's going to have a lot of weird situations that will hit the media's attention of like, kid didn't have phone and this happened like
mm,
and problems like that. I did a few years ago have a student, unbelievable student, that wasn't actually mine, just a student we connected talking philosophy a lot. I usually do that with some students. They mentioned a book to me and it was called Girls on the Edge
mm,
by Leonard Sachs. And this guy, he talks he does podcasts on him. He talks all around he does like guest speaking, whatever.
Yeah.
But this book was specifically about being like parenting for like adolescent teenage girls in the 21st century. And I was blown away by the chapter on like social media and cell phones. And he advocated in that book, which I don't know when it was written, but he advocated for cell phones to be banned bell to bell. He
Yeah.
said that any cell phones in schools is impacting mental health of students significantly. Specifically, females have a far stronger impact. And that with it, it allows for more focus on education. He also mentioned a fascinating thing that in a college, they told students like everyone is not going to have, if everyone didn't have their phone out, how would you feel not having your phone? And the students said, I'd feel much better and I'd prefer not have my phone if I knew everyone else didn't.
Mm.
So there is this inherent under awareness that we all have of like, I don't want to be attached to this device. It takes away something from my attention and my focus and my ability to get things done. Although it does enable, it does also hinder. But our fear of missing out on things and our fear of not engaging with certain things makes it seem impossible to do.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a student today about it, and they said that exact thing. They said, like I low key kind of don't mind it. As
Yeah.
long as everyone else doesn't have it, I'm kind of looking forward to it because now it's not going to be all the drama.
Yeah.
Um, and one more thing, and I'll hear your piece, but I was at a restaurant, a local restaurant down the street from my apartment, and talking to one of the workers there. They were just talking. They asked me what I did for a living. I said school counselor, and they were like, "Okay, so I got this situation. My child, high school, very small school in the region, and they're struggling. They are going into, I think it was senior year, and it's just toxic. They come back, their anxiety's crazy. Social media is just destroying them. Bullying on the phones that can't really be addressed because it's just kind of like outside of school type stuff.
Yeah.
And they asked, like, what can we do? Like, I've heard about this VLAX stuff. I've heard about this. And I shared a lot of good resources for them, like community college, free community college options. I suggested looking for like adult education programs in the region. And the difficulty of like unenrolling in a school because you lose all those resources. But a big core thing of that was technology and how technology fueled these social problems in school to the point of which a strong academic student wasn't wanting to be in the school system. It's
Yeah.
wild. So I'm hopeful that this is something that is positive. I understand that it's going to be extremely overwhelming for students, a bit more so for parents. I
Yeah.
think in the 21st century, with a lot of the unfortunate things that have happened in this country in schools, public and private schools, it makes people want to be able to know where kids are, want to be
Mm.
able to access them at any time and communicate with them. The amount of times parents call me saying my child is in the bathroom crying, please find them. That happens a lot. And like parents, that overwhelms them. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing where we have to really have strong communication and transparency in the supports our school districts can provide to these families to make sure everyone is involved.
Yeah. For sure. I got some strong opinions. I've actually done like research topics on this, and I don't think my opinions changed. And even you and I, like we did a project years ago, kind of about this impact. I think I've written papers on this constantly, and um, I think it's going to be beneficial. I do. I Even if the students don't understand yet, I think they're gonna enjoy it. It's funny, like I actually read about this player actually had a phoneless wedding, and someone who was there was like, yeah, when we got to the wedding, we didn't know what to do because it's not just a teen issue. This is like a society issue. This is like adults. This is older adults. Like this is all of us. Like they got to the wedding and they were like, "Where's the phone?" And they were like freaking out because I think we've all got to that point where when we don't have it, we kind of freak out. And for the students, especially, at least like we're adults, so we can kind of know for the most part, at least we all still have our issues, but we can kind of know like what's real, what's not. Like when you see things online, like we are not always using that for our self-worth for the most part. Again, I think we all still have our own issues, but for the younger student, I think limiting that and guarding that as much as possible is so important. And I think once they don't have it, they realize, oh, how like I'm able to like have conversations with my peers. I'm able to be without it. Someone was like, "Oh, I'm so bored." I'm like, "Good. Like learn how to be bored." That's a
Right.
life sometimes is boring. Like you don't need to have entertainment 24/7.
Yeah, you don't
Like
have to be stimulated all the time.
yeah, like learn to love that. It makes me think like, do you know how to meditate? Do you know how to slow down? Because meditating is like an art and you're forced to be still. You're forced to be with your own thoughts. You're forced to slow down. And have you ever had the chance to if you're entertained 24/7? Like how often are you like I remember when I co-taught that class years ago with a couple of sophomores, then we did a yoga session where we were meditating. And some of them were like I've never been alone with my thoughts before or had the opportunity because that's a lot. It's you think about a lot. I think some people are scared to like have that moment to themselves, but I think we've got to start teaching that too, because at some point, when you're alone with your own thoughts, it gets spooky. It gets scary. And if you've never done that before, if you're doing it for the first time in your 30s or 40s, it can be a lot up there. And I think not working on that when you're younger, not training yourself how to be with yourself, not training your thoughts, not training yourself to slow down is why I think we have such a big issue in mental health because these skills aren't being taught. We're not talking about it enough and we're just letting these kids just roam free. And I feel like get off my lawn but it's like no, like we've got to talk about this. This is like a big issue.
It is.
And so I'm glad we're taking the step. But I do agree where I think the parents more so are gonna have a tougher issue. Obviously, my daughter's at national is at a school like locally, and they did their band, and I was like, cool, great. Love it.
Yep.
And we'll have to adjust because we even like will text her and do all these things, and it's an adjustment for us. And so even at school, like I'm modeling that behavior. And even today, I got lost with one of my coworkers, and my first reaction was to try to call him, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna figure this out. I'm not gonna call him. I'm gonna find out how to do it because how can we ask students to do something when we can't model that same behavior? So I think it's going to be more difficult for the adults. And I think us as educators should try to model it. We should also try to do that.
Hmm.
And if we're going to ask our students to, why can't we?
I agree, man. And that's a challenge because in the 21st century, so much of education to save money has moved digitally.
Mhm,
It's to utilize resources that are kind of like fixed in kind of a digital platform. So we as staff need to use our devices. We have to use a laptop and like kind of go around and like communicate. And there are utilities to that, but also a profound awareness to not having it is important. And you mentioned something of like being alone and being bored. It allows you to explore yourself.
mhm,
And I find that there's this horrible thing that's happening right now where we're growing and not really understanding who we are. We're losing a connection with our inner self, our true being. Because whenever we get to that very personal, almost intimate feeling with self, it's overwhelming. It's frightening. It's scary. So we avoid it. We grab our phone. Let me scroll. Let me look at this. Let me post that. Let me see what others are doing. Let me get away from myself. But when you're able to just sit there, you find the true beauty within yourself. And that is something that can guide you through any adversity.
mhm,
Seeing that light that you are, seeing your potential and embracing it. When you have hardship, that doesn't go away. But when you don't have that, the hardship seems like the end of the world. And that's where I think a lot of this core of our concerns in society right now, all ages, is this avoidance to truly being yourself. I love traveling internationally because I don't like I went to South America this summer for 2 weeks. I didn't get a SIM card. I was just friggin' Wi-Fi, cool, no, whatever. I'll
nice.
figure it out. I walked 2.5 miles back to the apartment I was staying at just because I was like, nah, I'm not gonna go to Wi-Fi, get a coffee, get an Uber, pay for the Uber. Like, nah, I can walk. I don't care if I sweat here and I'll explore. And it was a blast. It was almost thrilling to be left alone like that. And
Mhm,
another thing I love doing is writing. I think writing is a profound way to really get some self-reflection. And it can really kind of open you up to that inner self that is overwhelming at times, but so beneficial.
Dude, it's very. I was asked to do like presentation at some school and just like talk, and I was like, oh yeah, just talk about yourself. And I stopped for a second and like actually like thought about like life and everything. I got a little emotional. Like, oh damn, like that happened. It's almost because I don't journal like that. That's never really been my thing. It's just never been a part of my like self-care, which I think I should for sure. But I was able to like slow down and think. I'm like, oh wow, like that happened, that happened. And I think you're right. Writing is definitely something that I haven't done before, but I should probably incorporate that into my like routine. I'm more so like when I meditate, it helps me slow down and I think a lot more. I do a lot of thinking when I'm walking too. So I think maybe adding some writing would be a big benefit because that was the most I had to like stop and actually think back on like life, think back to like younger me, think back to like Zimbabwe, think back to like moving here. And it was the first time I've done that in a long time. And I think that's something that definitely isn't talked about enough. I think people talk about journaling, but like I said, it's never been something that I do, but I can only imagine how much it helped because if I got that much out of just like one like quick 5-10 minutes of thought, and again, I didn't even write yet. I just started the process of thinking what I'm gonna write. Like that was like, oh wow, there's like a lot to unpack there.
100%, man. I think that's a good challenge for anyone that's listening to this and for both of us. It's just like with this new, like, even if you don't have kids in education, you're just oddly listening to this recording for some reason. Challenge yourself. Like, this is a thing that's happening around the country and it's going to be happening globally. I'm sure of it. There's going to be awareness of this impact of technological devices to the developing mind. Challenge yourself, right? Get away from the screen. Don't have to write or notebook or do anything like that necessarily, but try like walk around. As the transcendentalists would say, saunter, contemplate life, and just walk around. I mean, what is it? EMDR therapy, I believe, was created out of a doctor or a therapist that had a significant loss, and they found that every time they went for a walk and were looking left and right, it helped them process and come to an understanding better.
Mm.
And now, like, think about what people are doing when they're walking now. Earbuds in, listening to something, right? Hearing a podcast. It's detaching you from what you're in right now. And so then you get somewhere, you take it out, and then your world is right there instead of giving you the time to gradually open it up. So I challenge anyone listening and for both of us to just really be present. Let yourself feel, whether that's like get an extra meditation in, right? Walk, do a walk every day for a week, or write, sit down and write for a bit, or have a genuine conversation with somebody. I've been having a lot of fun just meeting somebody and saying, what are you looking forward to? Random people. Like just I don't give a damn who. A cashier. Oh, poor cashiers. Like these poor people that I swear, dude, I feel so bad for the cashiers at Market Basket. I go there so often. And any weird store, I'll just be like, what are you looking forward to? Anything going on soon? And then people just start like, huh, well, I don't know, I guess. And they start going. And it's just like, I love that. I love here because that's something like even in the most miserable moments, if you can find a little thing that you're looking forward to, it changes that perspective.
Yeah, because I think people want that. People and no one asks enough. I have a friend who my friend Barbara, me and her like we'll work out like maybe like once or twice a month randomly. And we'll like after a workout, we'll just like talk for like an hour and a half. And we'll just like
Mhm.
talk about like life. Just like a solid catch up, just like conversation about life. Like, all right, this is what's going on, this is what I'm going through, this is how I want to fix it. Like, what are your thoughts on this? And those are the conversations that like I'm seeking. Like even this, like this alone, like best conversation I've had all week.
Right.
Just going deeper and not just a superficial conversation. So even when someone will ask me, "Yo, how are you doing?" It's like, "Do you want the real or do you want the fake?" I give it the
Right.
fake. I can be like, "Good," or I can be like, "All right, I got this, and that going on." Now I'm gonna think more. And I think what keeps me up is I think there are people out there who don't have the outlet to do that, so they might feel alone or they might not have someone who's open to share. So that's why I try to share first. I'm like, "Yep, I'm
Mm,
going through that. I'm got a little anxiety about this," and I think that usually allows more people to share. I think we've talked about, I think especially with boys and men where like they don't have that right or sometimes aren't able to. So I think that's why I try to disarm and be like, all right, this is what I'm going through. And
mm,
hopefully that can like allow them to like, oh damn, like how do you talk about that? Well, because I know like you're probably going through it too. So
right.
I don't need to be big, bad, and tough. I can tell you what's going on because it's normal.
Exactly. 100%. I was gonna say this is kind of opening up what is going to be another, I'm sure multiple recordings we're doing in the future, which is a thing we're both passionate about, which is just these young males that just don't know how to do what we just talked about
Yeah.
because it isn't necessarily something that is fit within the archetype of a male in society. It's just a process and be vulnerable. I met with somebody and got coffee with them, and they asked me, "Oh, how are you?" And one thing I usually do when someone asks me how I am is I take a breath. They're like, "Oh, how are you?" I'm like, and then I'll say, and by doing that, I truly reflect to how I am in that moment. And then I can assess, like, am I gonna, in this moment, I'm healthy, and that's good. So I can say good, genuinely knowing like I'm healthy. I don't have an illness or anything. I'm doing all right, you know? But then I also have the ability to be like, well, I'm also a bit overwhelmed. Like I also got a billion things on my mind. I got things on my plate right now that I can't get done. I'm waiting on blah, blah, blah. It's just like you said, am I gonna give the real or the fake? And
Mm.
like even with the fake's not necessarily fake. It's just something that I like to give myself that time to really reflect on. And
Yeah.
even more, dude, like when a kid comes in my office, like, hey, how are you? Whoo, I'm struggling, man. I am feeling it today. They're like, wait, what? You're supposed to say good, right? Like that's not the normal answer. And being like that, then you're like, yeah, what's going on with you though? How have you been? Like everything all right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, what's going on? And then it's just like, okay, we start the conversation by being vulnerable and it models the appropriate behavior to just be true. Be true
Yeah.
to what you are.
Yeah, I have a few friends who are like, oh, just be like, yo, how's the mental doing? And like now they're asking me that. So for a long time, I would just ask them, and like it's now opened it up for them, or like now they ask me, and it's just a full open out conversation. So I'm glad like a small thing like that has maybe influenced or affected them to be like, hey, like when you talk to me, you know it's like a safe space. Like we're gonna keep it real. We're gonna talk about anything and everything under the sun. So I'm glad like my small little ask has now got them to do that. And my hope is that like as we grow, as we do our mission that we have, we just have more of that. And maybe one day it can not be taboo to have those conversations.
Yeah, man. Me too.
I like that. I think I like that. No, I think let's leave it there. We'll leave on a high note. We'll come back next time. We'll talk a little bit more about that, and we'll see how week 2 goes.
Sounds good, man.
Love it.
All right.